They celebrate every small thing.
So every moment is like a holiday.
And Bollywood.
I am a disco dancer.
Oh my god. The secret to an Indian's heart, food and music, nothing else. I was forced to listen to music all my life. I have been cheated myself. And we Indians also don't like to communicate without having a cup of tea. Then you are smart. Who is this god? Who is this god? Why are they here? Why are they here? Mujhe khana pasand hai. And also I had been to Switzerland, to Italy. It's going to look pretty strange for in the video.
Hello everyone, this is an international platform to stars, and today we have second part of English podcasts. Vatsal is a master of sound and music computing. He's a very versatile person because of his interesting and non-started hobbies. He natively speaks English along with 2 foreign languages. He experienced traveler, and his homeland is colorful India, which famous for Bollywood, hot spices and Holi festivals. We greet you, Vatsal. Hello.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, the first question is about India. India is a country of contrast. Honestly, I don't know so much about India. I know some basic things like Holi festivals, hot spices and Bollywood. And that's all. Can you say some features, some interesting things in Indian culture and traditions that maybe I don't know and our viewers do not know?
Indian culture, that is a pretty vast thing to talk about, and I don't know where to start with. 29 states, and it is super huge, a lot of people, a lot of languages, and even more dialects. Concerning the festivals, there are a lot of them depending on which state we are in. So food wise, it's very diverse, and it's not as spicy as people think. It depends on where you actually are from. So I come from 2 states, and so each state has its own level of spice, a taste, diversity, and it's like India goes all the way back with respect to the kinds of people who are there, the languages which they speak, and the perspectives which they have. So each state, each city is like a different world. So it's like even though I am going from the west to the south, it's like the language, it changes, the sounds change, and the people, the traditions, the kind of clothes which they have, everything changes. So it's a big world in itself to be in.
So in your area where you came from, what's their interesting moments?
One of the most interesting things which from where I come from is it is the food. That's one thing. So Mumbai, where I was actually born, that is actually a place which is a mixture of multiple subcultures. So it is like even though it is actually part of one place and the language is one, but then the people who come and stay there, they are from all over the country. So it is like a porridge of different things, and it's like language-wise, age-wise, walks of life, professionalism, studies, academics. It's all a mix. So, and then after that, so the second state which I come from, that is down south. That is a much more focused place. So that is actually it's south of India, and over there it's like the food is also pretty focused, and it's the least spiciest, but depending on where you are from, the languages are also, I think, quite a few. My dad is from there, and so I share one language from there. And concerning that, the festival is also it's not different. So it's like over there, the festivals which they have, the kind of sweets which they make, the food which they have, the music, the festivals, the prayers and everything. So it's all diverse.
So
Yep.
how you think, why in India so common festivals?
In India, that's actually a good question. In India, I think the reason why festivals are so common is because India has a very the nature of living is very communal, and it's like people believe in living as part of a family where the culture has been for multiple generations to stay in the same place. So if you would go to, if I would go back home, then it would be maybe at least around 2 to 3 generations staying in the same house. And so me, my dad and my mom, and then their dad and their mom. So one fine day, if and when I choose to have kids and, have a family, so it'll be 3 to 4. So because of that, they celebrate every small thing. So we believe very heavily in celebrating the small things, be it a new phase of life, be it a new achievement unlocked, and not just achievements, but just small things. So because of that, we have a festival for every single thing, and it's usually in relation to our religion. But then even for those who are not strictly believers in God, but then they also take it as a very spiritual way to be with family. So it's all about family, essentially.
So every moment is like a holiday.
Oh yes, a big one, big one.
So the next question is about your education. You have experience to have education in other countries, in other cities, and maybe you can tell for us what's the features in education in India, and what's the differences between education in India and countries where you have been abroad?
Right. So the first place where I actually experienced the system of education was in Singapore. So over there, I began from the playgroup or the nursery, as you would say, all the way till my high school. So over there, I actually learned Chinese when I was small, and it was I was in a government school. So in order to speak with my teachers, especially who were all of them, they were Chinese. They are quite proud of their language. So the students would also be majorly Chinese as well. So over there, the system of education was quite it was quite strict and very based on textbook information. So, and even the assignments, the homework and stuff like that, it was more based on a very strict and it wasn't free thinking. So and then when I went to India when I was 16 or 17 years of age, the system of education was a little bit similar, but the only difference was that actually, now that I think about it, the system of education was pretty much the same in Singapore and in India both. So at that time, it was mainly memorization, and the structure of learning was that if you would express the information from the books into the paper, then you are smart. And now over the years that has actually evolved. So now the system of education has become more research based, and it's become more based in group discussions. And if any students actually have questions and they want to criticize anything in the textbooks or just talk about other angles outside of what the ideas are, this is accepted, and this is encouraged. So this has changed, I think, in the past 5 or 6 years. And one thing which I feel lucky to be a part of is that I was actually part of this transition where I studied in the system of both textbook based and then also idea based. So that's how it's been.
It's really
And
interesting.
after I actually came here, one thing which was a culture shock, not just for the lifestyle which I faced, but also for the like in the way professors encouraged studies here. So I thought to myself that, hey, I have a background in computer science and I have specialized in sound. So it's going to be a fun and a very interesting journey to be here. But then once I came here, the study was so focused, they would just tell you that, hey, we have these textbooks which you can choose from, and it's up to you what you interpret from that. And your research is your own. We are only there to supervise you. So my master's over here was not as rosy and colorful as what people would assume. I had difficulties, and it took time to actually cope up with the fact that, the self-study was pretty high. So if I had any doubts, I would be encouraged to actually look up, different resources online. I would be encouraged to read books by different research scientists. Otherwise, if I was back home, the structure would be to give me a textbook and then say that focus on this, so that if you focus on this, you will pass the exam, and this is how what they'll ask in the interviews. So it depends on which university you have studied from in India. So if you have come from the top places the IITs or certain private places where they actually fortunately practice a different system of education, then that will actually influence how you learn here. So I fortunately had professors who actually did my thesis with me. And they helped me take it through because they understood that I come from a different background of learning. So that was one major influence which I had.
So it's really big experience. And there
It was.
we can say that in every country, education is different. It's not like a similar.
It is.
Yes. And how many classes in India? There are like 12?
From the school all the way till high school, it is 12, and then from there it goes to university, and so they name it as a college there. So like how here we say school, so over there it's school. So and then from there we call it bachelor's and so on. Yep.
So the next question is about, as we know from beginning, you are experienced traveler. And can you tell for us where have you been, and what places, countries, cities are still in your heart?
So traveling wise, because our family used to go around quite a bit, and because of that, I have been to, apart from Singapore, I have been to Hong Kong, and I have also been to the UK. And this was actually part of a Europe trip which my family and I had after I finished my high school. And my experience at that time was quite, I would say it was a mix. So that experience was pretty good. And also I had been to Switzerland, to Italy. And Switzerland was the place where I had my first hot chocolate. And that was a really beautiful experience. And from India, where you have a lot of population, you have a lot of sounds, and you have a soundscape of life when you are there. When I was in Switzerland, it was so quiet, and the air was so clean, and the whole backdrop of the mountains with the trains and the super, super, super clean lakes. It was like postcard perfect, to be quite frank. So that really opened my eyes to how big the world is, and also the fact that I have to confess one thing, that I have actually seen other places more than I've seen my own country. And so until now, my experience of having traveled in the EU has actually made me realize how much I have to see India. I have actually not seen India so much, and I also discovered that India also has places like Switzerland, which has equally beautiful mountains, vegetation, forests, and lakes. So traveling is one thing I have learned about traveling so far is that if you are prepared to have patience and to see places which people do not go to, or like how you can say like the locations unfollowed. I'm sorry?
Non-started places. Like
yes. So the more I actually choose to question and like that hey, this place looks good, but then it's not on the map, or like it's not spoken about by any guide. Let's see what that is. So that is something which I discovered that I like to do. So that is what traveling became for me, and it's still now.
Okay, it's really interesting. So according to my observation, where I started to chat with Indian people, every Indian person can paint well. I don't know, maybe it's a part of your culture, of Indian culture.
That is actually quite true. Indian culture has got a sort of a tradition, or you could say more of a practice of just exposing it to colors, designs, and it's like we have been used to aesthetic and art since we were kids, and so because of that, like it's not just because we have been taking classes, but every festival and every house, we always have a habit of decorations and making sure that apart from just posters or apart from going to a museum, we handcraft art as much as we can. So in Holi, for instance, we have the this thing of like playing with powder. So our families actually have this culture of what's that word they use? It's like sprinkling the powder in a design, maybe like a tree or a butterfly or fire, and then they involve the kids at the same time. And because of this, we just got used to design.
Okay,
all over the years. Yeah.
It's like in holy festivals, there are colors, various. Yes, it's look very cool.
A lot of it, yeah.
I appreciate this in Indian culture, that everyone can paint well. Not so long ago, you finished university with very interesting specialty, sound and music composing. Honestly, I don't know what is this. Yes, I heard something like connected with sound, with music, like composing, but what is this sound and music computing? Can you tell for us what is this?
So sound and music computing, if I could say it in a sentence, it's basically learning the world of messing around with sound from the real world into a computer and using it for different applications, like creating softwares to make music, creating devices like hearing implants for those who cannot hear well from birth, or they lose their sense of hearing over time, and making technology like this, like innovations on headphones, and even involving artificial intelligence and machine learning, the psychology, apart from just coding things or making sure that software becomes more and more advanced. I also learned the perception of sound, as citizens living in a city, for instance, how the construction of a lot of buildings could actually obstruct and possibly even ruin our hearing. Like if we have too much traffic, if roads are not made properly, if there is no empty space like forests and trees. Forests are actually natural sound absorbents, and also they maintain sound very well. So if you have a country where you have an a good balance of both nature and buildings, that country has a high chance of being, let's say, acoustically rich. So Denmark is one of them, where, like, you know, they have a lot of vegetation, a lot of hills, a lot of empty spaces. So sound can travel. So we actually learn about why it's so important for human beings to live in a space which is acoustically rich and, like, you know, healthy, because all of us as like, you know, youngsters, as we grow up, we are used to going to concerts where they have a lot of loud music, and we also listen to music daily. And it's become a sort of, not a trend, but it's become sort of a practice for all of us to listen to music wherever we are and whatever we do. That also has an impact on our hearing, because we tend to isolate the natural sounds of nature, as simple as trees, like, you know, trees and leaves moving, or the sound of the lake, sound of the water, sound of the wind, sound of people walking, footsteps, people speaking. If you go into a cafe, the first thing we do is put our headphones, or, like, you know, work with that. The sound of someone pouring a cup of coffee can be so pleasing. It actually trains your ears and helps it heal. So the one thing which I learned the most is that more than only creating technology to enhance sound in a computer, how we can appreciate sound to actually, you know, be healthy and also create a healthy world. So I'm reading this one book called the Sound World by an author named Trevor Cox, and he is actually from England. He's an acoustic engineer. He also has his own podcast. So in a bubble, he speaks about why the natural sounds of the world are so important for growth and for also our own emotional well-being. So this is everything which we learn in our course.
After this profession, sound and music computing, you become not only like musician, you know every small aspects about music, about sounds. I'm really in shock about this profession. I really didn't know about this. It's really interesting.
Me neither.
Yes.
I mean, when I was back home, I was like, I do have interest in in making music. I do have interest in computer science. Is there a field which actually can let me learn about this as a mixture? So my first search on the internet was computer science and sound masters. That's the place where I studied. That was the first place where I actually got the link. And I had gotten admission in the UK, in Spain, and here. However, I chose Denmark because it was the only place where they had a course for 2 years. So I didn't have to rush, and I could study and experience it with a good, pleasurable amount of time.
You interested in music since your childhood, yes?
Yes.
And
exactly.
Maybe it's something like Indian, because music is a part of Indian culture, and maybe that's why you choose this field.
Actually, it's a bit ironical that even though I was interested into music, not because I'm from India, but I actually got interested into music because of Western musicians. And so so I was so, you know, interested in how they sound when they sing. So two of my early influences were Michael Jackson and Justin Timberlake. Yes.
They are my
I fell in love. Oh, nice. Okay. I mean, these two are like, Justin is even though he is modern, but he is a really good example of a musician who knows how to sing in a very versatile way. And Michael Jackson, he is the he's the king of pop.
He's a king.
So yes, he's literally a king, and he dances or beatboxes or sings and everything. But when he expresses with soul. So I wanted to sing like them, and I was like, hey, when I sing, my family asked me to stop singing, and I'm like, how do I get better? So I thought to myself that, like, I was like, hey mom, I want to learn to sing. So should I learn Indian classical first or Western classical? She was saying that you can learn either, but if you like, since you also have interest in Indian songs, why don't you learn Indian classical first? And then you can actually go from there and learn anything else. And when I heard my cousins singing that on stage one day, it was so technical that I lost interest completely. And so my mom introduced me to something called light classical singing, which means that the teacher will actually give you the basics of singing, but then they will teach you to sing on stage. So that is what I learned. And I used to learn singing from listening to people, through YouTube, through movies, through singing, here and there. And I learned to sing formally, I think it was the year 2015. And that was my first formal class I took. So I was exposed formally to music when I learned the piano when I was small in Singapore. And also there's one instrument called the tabla. So I learned that as well for around 6 years. So you could say that my exposure to music was since I was quite young. So everything was influenced. And Bollywood, 4.5 hours, painstaking hours of a movie with one song for each emotion. I mean, I was forced to listen to music all my life. So that had a big influence.
So you said about musicians, about singers. Maybe you have
Yes.
favorite band?
Like, so from the classics or now, like, or just in general?
Classics.
Backstreet Boys, that is one. Backstreet Boys is one. Green Day is one. And then from India, there is one band which I've been listening to since childhood called Indian Ocean. So that is more of a rock and classical band. It's sort of a fusion. And I have also met them. So I have seen them live. So they are one of my favorite bands. And apart from that, there's also one band called NSYNC, which Timberlake was a part of.
Yes. You told about Indian films, about Bollywood. So maybe
Yes.
you have a favorite Indian movie, because I know only like Zita and Gita and Disco Dancer. I am a disco dancer. Everyone knows this.
Oh my god. Okay. Indian favorite film. One film which I truly like, which I can watch again and again, is called Dhoom 2. That is one. Dhoom 2 is one. But an even more older film which I really enjoy is this one film named, it's actually a pretty long word. It was made, I think, in the 1800s or 1900s. It's called Chalti Ka Naam Gadi. So it's like a 4-word film, and it's actually it has one of India's most legendary singers, actors, directors. His name is Kishore. And he actually that was a film which was super simple, very sweet, and it was very long, but that was like a film which really made me, if I watch it now, it just makes me remember simpler times.
And one interesting thing that I heard about India, that there are most important gestures like namaskar. It's like a greeting.
Yes.
Maybe you know other gestures.
India and Indian language is filled with a lot of gestures. So we are so physical with our hands when we talk. And like namaste is one. That is like the most basic one wherever we go. Apart from that, gestures. Apart from namaste, all the other gestures are part of like the body language which we have. So we don't like namaste is like the most fundamental one which we have. Others, they are just like part of our our speech. So if we want to just describe a daily conversation or stuff like that, our hands just start to move. So if I start doing that now, it's going to look pretty strange for in the video, but yeah, we have a lot of it. We have a lot of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What you can say about Indian mentality?
Indian mentality, like with respect to what exactly?
Maybe people from India are friendly or funny, like that. Maybe you can
people
describe.
from India, they have a very the mentality is friendliness will definitely happen once they actually discover that you are interested to maybe integrate. And if they actually see you as anyone who has been there for the first time, the first thing which you will be met with is a genuinely enthusiastic Indian who will want to introduce you to food, places, traveling, and everything. And one of the reasons why we are like that is for two things. One is that we are genuinely proud of what we are and what we are made of. And secondly, when people think of India, the impression is very much a tip of the iceberg. So people used to have an impression of India from this movie called Slumdog Millionaire, which actually showed one aspect of it, but not all. So it's like if you are around Indians, you will experience a very warm, a very cheerful, a very affectionate atmosphere, and where they will welcome you with food and drinks. First thing, the secret to an Indian's heart and the secret to sort of making friendships for an Indian is through food. Food and music, nothing else. And it's like if you can enjoy food with us, or if you want to enjoy with us, the first stage is food. And if that is cracked, you're a part of us. So that is one thing which we are super proud of. Our whole mentality is actually around food. One thing which I also find a bit not bad, but you can just say it's part of the Indian business mentality, is that we love to do business with everyone, and the culture of business has been there since centuries now. If you will go to India, then if you will go into a shopping street, you will find 5 to 8 shops with the exact same thing, selling them at different prices, like as if that price is going to change, and you need to get that now and there. And so they will try to cheat you if you don't know the place. I have been cheated myself being an Indian. So it's like if they see a non-Indian, they will definitely try and show you everything and try to make money there. So business people, definitely. The Indian shopping streets are probably, I think they are part of the unrecognized, biggest unorganized sector of business, which is a contribution to the country's the whole economic spectrum. Apart from that, when it comes to emotions, when it comes to friendships, professionalism, Indians are very emotional. So it's like, I would say that immortal in the sense that if they have any business, everything is linked with religion. So they celebrate everything with, having prayers, having festivals, and relationships are very, very, very meaningful and deep, very much. So the Indian mentality, it would be so hard to find a word for that, but I think one word would be community.
Community.
So being one, yes. I mean, that is one important word which I would describe the whole of India as. Yes.
So India is a big country. There are more
Yep.
than 400 ethnic groups, and every ethnic group has not only their own mentality, but their native language and religion. So can you tell us about your native language and religion? What are their names?
Oh God. My native language, I would say I have been brought up on 3 languages. Sorry, 4.
Okay.
So, Hindi is one, that is for sure. That's what, all of us speak. After that, my two regional tongues, that one is Tamil, that is from that is Tamil. It's actually Tamizr. So in the actual way, but then, so that is one, that is from the south, and then from the west coast, it is called Marathi, that is Marathi. So that is exactly. So that is the second one, and language wise, it has been pretty, it's quite mixed. So when people speak back home, we speak with a mixed tongue. So it's never just English or just Hindi or just, this. We speak it in a very, we are so much into music that we remix everything. So if you listen to an Indian speaking, it's going to be like, it starts with English or Hindi, it goes into this, it goes into this.
English.
So exactly. Exactly. Like literally English. Yeah.
So how about your religion?
My religion, so anyone in India, it's based on the religion of Hinduism. But religion-wise, I used to, our family is pretty religious, but then fortunately, they don't impose it. They are I used to get used to praying ever since I was a kid. But then afterwards, I used to get a bit curious. Who am I praying to? Why am I praying to them? Why do they exist? And then if I would go into a temple, I would raise a lot of questions who is this God? Who is this God? Why are they here? Why are they here? And a temple, when you go into India, is a very typical structure, like a huge dome, which has got a lot of sculptures and stuff on that. I would ask, why are they in this, in this wear, or why, I see monkeys, goddesses, horses, elephants and stuff. And so from then on, I realized that I have a much more spiritual belief in religion or in God in general. I don't believe in any one God, but it's if I would go into a church or a mosque or a or a temple or anything, I would feel peace anyways, because I have been to all of them. And it's just that religion-wise, I do identify as a Hindu, but I would just say that I am inclined a bit more towards being agnostic in nature, which means that I don't have a very specific label. It's just that I believe that there is a much more higher power which is governing the whole universe, and that as long as our actions are for a noble cause, we are fine.
Okay, now I understand. So, can we hear from you some words on your native language? Like in Hindi or on Marathi? You choose by yourself.
Ouch. Now this has put me into a spot. Let me try.
maybe
how
some basic phrases like how are you?
Yeah.
I love you. Some
So how are you? It'll be like if you are speaking to a person with respect, it'll be आप कैसे हो?
आप कैसे हो?
So आप कैसे हो? Yes. So and then if it's much more informal, friendly, or with like just to someone with love, it'll be तुम कैसे हो? So the language is majorly from a very a formal or a respectful way. Like aap means it refers to if I am speaking to you, I would say aap, which means that it refers to you as a whole and not just one. And if I'm speaking like for say me, I would say us.
Okay.
So the tone for saying that would be how are you all, and we, so we and you. So the language itself is pretty it's pretty wholesome. So it's like if I would say like I am from India, so I would either say मैं भारत से हूँ,
मैं भारत से हूँ,
so मैं भारत से हूँ. So Bharat is the actual word for India, like Bharat or Hindustan. So मैं भारत से हूँ, or you can say हम भारत से हैं. So हम means like we or us. So it sort of removes the individualism from the phrase, and it makes you present yourself as representing your where you come from. Exactly. So right now we use a lot of me or I or you, stuff like that, which has become a bit more narrow. But in the past, our parents or our friends would use words which are a bit more respectful. So even if it's for your husband or wife, it would still be up.
Okay.
Now it's become like tu, because tu means you in a pretty friendly or in a loving way. So that is there, and then one more would be like, so if I want to say I like or I love food, just food.
Okay.
मुझे खाना पसंद है.
मुझे खाना
खाना. Yeah. So yeah, खाना पसंद है.
पसंद है.
Yes. So मुझे खाना pasand hai. So this actually means two things. Khana means food, and khana also means to eat. So it means I like to eat or I like food. So and then one more would be like, so if I want to say like we are friends, or I want to be your friend. So if I want to say we are friends, I can say हम दोस्त हैं. हम दोस्त हैं. हम दोस्त DOST दोस्त हैं. Yes.
Okay.
हम दोस्त हैं. And then if you want to say to someone else like this will be a very long sentence. Okay, so tell me one phrase and I'll just say it in Hindi, because there's a lot of stuff I could say.
Phrase. Okay. Weather is beautiful.
Okay, this is one thing which I know. Yes, so weather is beautiful. There are two ways you can say this. If you want to use, so one simple way would be आज दिन DIN आज दिन बहुत सुंदर है. So okay, yeah, आज दिन बहुत means a lot, very much. So आज means like आज means today, and din means day, and sundar means beautiful. Sundar is beautiful. So आज दिन बहुत सुंदर है. So that means to say, like, not just for the weather, but then the day is so beautiful. The word for weather is actually tapman.
Tapman?
Tapman. So tapman literally means the skies and stuff, like, you know, the weather is very good. So आज का तापमान अच्छा है. So that's a bit, yeah. Try. So Aaj. So that is like AAJ. Aaj.
Okay.
Tapman. TAPMAN. Yeah.
Tapman.
Yeah. अच्छा है. अच्छा है. Yeah. अच्छा is good.
Okay.
Yes.
After this beautiful linguistic trip, we're going to the real trip. And can I ask from you to say top of the most likely attractions in India, maybe in Mumbai?
In Mumbai, attractions. Okay, so I would say top 3.
Okay.
Top 3 attractions. Okay, one is. Oh gosh, okay, this is actually difficult. I mean, I was going to say I was going to say the gateway, like, which is the Taj, but that is actually a very beautiful place. That's actually one. That is actually, like, you know, usually the most crowded place, and that would be the last place I would be at. But if I actually want to see a place which is very beautiful, that is one place I would go to when it is, like, majorly empty, and that is in the south of Mumbai, right opposite the Taj Hotel. That's in Mumbai. One more place which I would recommend to go to in Mumbai is, believe it or not, the slums. So the slum places, which is called Dharavi. This is actually one place which is I think it's very important to see. And the reason why it is not just beautiful, but it's important is because it is the place where people who are from the lowest class, they actually come. But it is also a place where you can see life as it is in its rawest form. Like how people actually live when they are actually under when they have to, how they live together as a family. And this place actually is a mixture of both family, culture, arts, and India's best dance crew. They actually travel to the US from there in the World Hip Hop Championship. If I'm not wrong, I mean, this might be inaccurate or it's correct, but as far as I can recall, they came from here. So they actually were the runner-up in this place. This place, it shows that even if you are poor, or if you come from an economically different class, they still enjoy and they live life. So that is one place which can make you appreciate life more. So that is one. And the third place which I would recommend to go to is wow. So the first one is a tourist hotspot, but it's also because that also has a historical significance. The second one is to just see the economic significance, and the third one I would say would be to like actually go to any wildlife sanctuary. I mean, Mumbai has Mumbai has an excellent wildlife sanctuary where they have forests and national parks where you can see very rare animals on the brinks of extinction. And it's a really super huge sanctuary, and that would be one place to go to. And last but not the least, just go to any place to eat food, street food. If I would recommend these three places. These three are what I can think of right now off the top of my head, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So the last topic is my favorite, national kitchen. Maybe you know some dishes,
Okay.
Indian dishes.
Oh yes, most definitely. I mean, I'm exposed to them on a daily basis on my current job. So one national dish. I will tell you which is the national dish. I mean, we don't have a national dish, but one very, very loved dish is butter chicken. That is one. And that is my personal favorite, all-time favorite. I can never get bored of it. Butter chicken is one. And one of my favorite dishes is a plate of steamed rice with what we call dal, like yellow dal. So it's called lentils in English. So a plate of steamed rice, dal, and then a touch of what we call ghee, which is basically pasteurized butter. So that comes as part of a very basic veg thali. So it's called the thali, Thali. So thali is basically India's most well-known basic dish where you actually have a whole plate, and that whole plate has got the starters, the main course, and the dessert in one shot. And so it's not like we have like bowls of rice. No, we have like small bowls of everything.
All in
Rice,
one
the
plate.
pickles, salt. Yes, exactly. And so that actually makes the whole cycle of proteins, carbohydrates, sweets, everything. And this, I'm getting hungry right while talking about it right now and very homesick. But that is one. So, and then apart from that, we have got sweets like the gulab jamun. We have got one sweet called Mysore pak, which is from the south. Gulab jamun is also there, which is basically like balls which are actually in rose water syrup, if I'm not wrong. And then we also have there's butter chicken, there's dal, there is dosa.
Okay.
There is dosa in Italy, which is from the south. That is like usually taken as a breakfast, a lunch, or even a dinner. And that is my personal favorite, no matter what. So dosa in Italy is there, and then afterwards there is the what we call a vada pav back home. It's a vegetable cutlet which has got like potatoes, peas, vegetables in that, and then it's part of a bun called pau. Pau is actually a Portuguese word, and this actually comes in for less than 1 kroner in India, and it is like a breakfast or maybe even a snack, and we usually have it with a cup of chai, and this is like a street food delicacy, and this is sold like hotcakes back home. So vada pav and chai is there, butter chicken is there, idli dosa is there, the Indian thali is there, and then we have got fish. Fish is also there, freshwater fish. That is from the west coast and even from the south. That is to die for because I come from, my mom's side is from a coastal side, so we have a lot of fish there, a lot of fish, and prawns is one, fish is one. I could go on and on. So this is literally the what I can think of so far. Yes. Yep.
I want to eat after this conversation.
Me too.
It was so yummy. So
I swear.
in conclusion, Maybe
Yep.
you can share with us with a story, some interesting story from your life, like connected with international experience, maybe something like that. Maybe you have a funny, interesting story that you can share with us.
Interesting experiences. Oh yes. That is one very interesting. Yet it is something which makes me think why. In Denmark, people love beer, but they don't love beer. They love chugging it down to the point where they get drunk and smash to even talk to a person. That was my first experience which I had, which was interesting, funny, and that made me think about how to reevaluate my friendships here. On the other hand, we Indians also don't like to communicate without having a cup of tea. So a cup of tea is what you can say a cup of tea is what connects us back home. A cup of beer is what links them here. Another interesting thing which I can share from my experience here is my life in the lockdown. Of course, my life in the lockdown was totally unexpected. I mean, of course, like who knew COVID was going to be here? I finished 80% of my masters on Zoom, online in my room, and I was actually lucky enough to do one semester on campus. But after that, the whole school shut down, and my rest of my 3 semesters were at home. So that was difficult, I would say, and I am not used to studying in so much of isolation. I am not used to studying over a computer screen, with friends and my classmates, and my course is a very hands-on course. And for me, education is discussions with my classmates and discussions with my professors, getting feedback in real time. So that is something which is very important for me. And I was also quite homesick because we couldn't go out. I couldn't travel much. And because of that, it was a pretty rocky ride to study and learn. I actually discovered how I learn in this time because I was facing simple issues like, okay, I won't say simple because everyone's different. So I face issues of concentration, of attention, and it was actually also the first time I felt that when you spend a lot of time in the 4 walls in something like the pandemic, your brain starts to get louder. It's like you just start to listen to your own thoughts and be with yourself a lot. That was also the first time I also decided that, hey, I need to actually seek sessions with a professional. So that was the first time I actually did you can say therapy. So therapy back home in India. So it is that a lot of my past resurfaced. So connecting with my family wasn't sufficient for me. And I would say and last but not the least, the most beautiful part of the pandemic was that when we went into a lockdown in 2020 on March, a month later, everybody was out over here partying and we had a lot of dinners and lunches together. A lot of them, because when anybody says don't do this, we do that. And the thought of not being able to go out and meet people made us come outside and cook, have barbecues and stuff. That was pretty unsafe and counterproductive to what the laws and regulations were. But it's just that we live in a dormitory, and so we needed to socialize. And when you are exposed to news every day, you have to get tested, that there's a whole lockdown, you can't go out anywhere. In our dormitory, all of us opened our doors and we were like, what do we do now? Let's cook and let's eat. So I got to know so many of my people in my dormitory because of the lockdown, ironically speaking. So these things are some things which are going to be memories for life for like life. And we have taken photographs, and they are in our kitchen. So whenever we look at them, whenever new people come, we just talk passionately about how we all bonded in this time. Yeah.
So there are a lot positive, some negative moments.
Ups and downs, yes.
Yes. But this is life.
Yep.
Yes. So for my last thing that I want to ask from you, it's just say hello for everyone, our viewers, because every person from our viewers waited for podcasts with a person from India, because it's really interesting.
Oh, okay. It's my pleasure to actually do this, and thank you so much for reaching out and offering for me to do this, because it feels nice to put my story out there. And it is not just about me saying who I am, but it will also reach out to other Indians and especially to other Asians who want someone who they can relate with. And I have also spoken about things which are generally not discussed so much, but they are very, very, very important.
Yeah.
And if this reaches to any Indian out there, or anyone who wants to know about life outside, apart from what is shown on YouTube and everything which is mainstream, it's my pleasure. And thank you so much for this. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your time, for this really yummy, colorful, interesting conversation. I'm so
You're most
happy
welcome.
to meet you, because you're a very interesting person. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So,
It was my pleasure to talk about this. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Wait for
Thank you. Bye-bye.
next podcast.